The crossover weekend edition. Weekend edition. I said there might be one. The crossover. Whoa. Weekend. What's that? Edition. We got what's that called? Where you get the echo in your headphones? I guess I'm not that professional yet. So, just a chill weekend. Anybody doing anything out there today? I mean, we had a nice breakfast this morning. Went to church. Had a nice lunch. Yeah, we actually went to this local place. It's more for kids. It's like kind of more of an ice cream place, but anyways, went to lunch there for the little man. Had really good stuff. Really good stuff. Big old Sunday. Came home. Did the budget. Wife made fun of me a little bit. Anything else? SDSU's in the Final Four! Are you kidding me? Let's go. Let's go. Your boy's kind of missing his voice here. And I'm not going to lie. I have a strict rule. A very strict rule. Grown men do not wear jerseys. Shouldn't be wearing jerseys. And yeah, I know Rome uses that rule, but I agree with that 100%. I'm not going to lie. I busted out my practice uniform 100%. I was wearing that for a little bit, but holy moly, man. And it's not just about SDSU in the Final Four. Look at this Final Four, with the exception of UConn. Talk about this thing being up for grabs. I mean, hold up. I don't know if you guys like the music or not. Hey, and get in here too. If you go to my Twitter page, you can join the show if you would like to. So do not hesitate to come up here, talk to me, whatever. But this Final Four, wide, open. UConn, been there before. Let's talk about this. How many people had one of these teams in the Final Four? Raise your hand. SDSU. I had them in. Two. You know what? Bella. I don't know if you're watching, and not the one from Calgary. I'm talking about Bella, SDSU alum. Bella had SDSU. I don't remember if she had UConn though. Maybe. I bet Connor probably had. Connor may have had UConn, so we'll give him a pass there. But I don't think there's a lot of people. I know. Don't forget about Mark Moda. He had Texas winning the whole damn thing, and they almost made it in too. So, but yeah, Florida Atlantic. Anybody? Anyone? Bueller. Paging Bueller. No. So this is going to be fun, y'all. This is going to be really, really fun. And I think the game of the Final Four is going to be FAU and SDSU. UConn is going to roll over Miami. They will. UConn has 3 guys on that team that will likely be in the NBA. So you can pretty much put UConn into the national championship, but FFAU, what am I talking about? FFA? No, FAU. If you look at all the teams in the tournament, their players have been together the longest. And I think this tournament has been the best example of it's the classic argument. We talked about it many times on the crossover since I started this show. It's the blue bloods that get the one and dones versus the teams that have solid basketball players. Maybe one or two might be able to play pro ball, and when I say pro ball, not just NBA. Like I'm talking playing Europe. There's a lot of different different ways you can be a pro without being in the NBA. But this is it for them. Like, they stay 4 or 5 years in college. Like, and most of those guys, they're not even going to ever play basketball in a competitive sense again, like they do for D1 school. So, like, this is it for them. And I'm telling you, between FAU, who has the most of those players, and if you've watched FAU play in this tournament, holy crap, FAU, they talk about a team that is cohesive and just knows each other. That's what they are. You see it from the second they step on the court. But getting back to it, that's what we've seen in this tournament. And that's why we've seen this parity in this tournament, where these big teams, these 1 seeds that have the one and dones, they're going down to these smaller schools. Princeton, look at how far they made it. So Creighton, there you go. Creighton was a 5 seed like SDSU, but same kind of idea. So it's really cool, and watch for it to continue. I mean, like, seriously, when you're filling out brackets for years to come, I don't even look at the seeds anymore, to be honest with you, because everybody that is on any of those teams, even the kids like myself that never sniffed the court once, ever, they're still good basketball players. I'm not calling myself good, but, like, you always see, like, on Duke or, Kentucky, there's always the 3 or 4 guys that you're like, damn, those guys are on the team that are always dressed out at the end of the bench. They can all play. They're all good players, and they contribute a lot to practice. Trust me on that. So anyways, yes, SDSU, Montezuma. Oh my gosh, I can't even talk. Montezuma Mesa. Where you at? Montezuma Avenue, College Avenue. What's up? What? I can only imagine what's going on near campus right now. Holy crap. This is wild. And I'm waiting a few minutes until I get into it, because I'm just waiting for somebody to put this up here. I'm letting everybody settle in. I'm waiting for other people to come in, and then I will get to it. And you can likely guess what I want to get at. But yeah, Houston. Hey, anybody got a spare bedroom in Houston? Let your boy know. I'm looking for someplace to stay. Trying to put this trip together and broadcast live from Houston. That would be a lot of fun. Do the post games for the Kings from there. So what wouldn't be fun is having to stay in Houston for 2 extra days if SDSU doesn't make it to the title game. But we'll see. Still putting that together. So help your boy out if you know any plugs. I already hit up Stucknut. I'm like, Steve, you got an extra room, buddy? I mean, like, for rent? Like, no lease. We'll go lease free. Instead of month to month, we'll go day to day. Does that work? So let me know, Nut. Anyways, all right, so let's get to it. I almost put it in the stream, or the little banner right here. Let's get to it. The subject of the day about SDSU winning. They got, or not SDSU, Creighton got screwed by the referees, right? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that final play. It wasn't a foul. How do you call that foul? With the trip to the Final Four on the line and send a guy to the free throw line with whatever seconds left to win the game, what every kid in their driveway dreams of, what every kid practices in their driveway. Like, literally, I did it a million times. You're like playing your own game in your head while you're shooting around and you're doing the crowd noise, or three, all of it. And then you foul yourself, and it's like, okay, I got 2 free throws to win the national championship, to win the NBA title. That dude was in that position, and he missed the first one. Holy moly, I can only imagine the pressure on that second one. So credit to him for putting one in. And SDSU, not a good free throw shooting team. So I was a little bit worried about that. But getting back to it, the foul, that was 150,000,000% a foul. Whether that is with 2 minutes left in the first quarter or 0.5 seconds left in the national championship game, that was a foul. And here's why. Okay. It was okay. You're going to say Rhino. Guys have their hand on the hip or right there in the lower back all the time. All the time. You're right. They do. And a lot of times it is not called. Okay. That's one of those little things in basketball when you're a defender, especially if you're a guard or a smaller defender. They teach those little things. They teach you where you can get away with things, where you can get away with, like everybody says, life hacks and like stuff like that. Basically, foul hacks, like where you can, maybe manipulate the situation based on where the referees are positioned, right? And the hip is definitely one of them, because if you're driving down the lane or you're guarding somebody that beat you over the top, and you should never get beat over the top, ever, 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 pretty much in any defense, but you get beat over the top, you still have the guys behind you on the wing that are obstructing that official's, view that's here behind you on the sideline. Then you have the official that's over here on the other sideline, okay? And he can't see that inside hip, right? Then you have the referee that's right there on the baseline under the hoop staring straight at you guys. He cannot see the extension if you do extend your arm. But that's the key right there. Dude for Creighton extended his arm fully. If he would have kept his arm at a 45-degree angle, if he would have just had it on our guy's hip, they wouldn't have called that a foul. But he didn't. He legitimately pushed him. And here's another thing I can promise you, and I guarantee this. I guarantee this. When Coach Dutcher is sitting there in the huddle and Coach Dutcher is drawing up the play, he is not saying, try to draw the foul with 0.8 seconds left. You know what? What he might be saying is, if the play is going to be going to a big man, I mean, it's saying be physical. You might say, obviously play through contact, but your plan at that point, you are not thinking about getting a foul call. You are 100% focused on making that basket, especially because you have an open look 8 feet away from the hole. Now, if you are 60 feet away from the hole and you're throwing up a prayer, and, then maybe you're thinking about drawing a foul, because that's really your only hope, right? Especially if they're right up there guarding on you. But when you're that close to the hoop, you are completely focused on trying to make that shot. So that dude was pushed. There, you can see it. He goes flying. He would not try. He would not go down like that in hopes of getting a foul call in that situation and take away from trying to make that hoop, because usually those are two different things. Okay. This is not the NBA with continuation. NBA is completely different. NBA, you can get slapped across the wrist on the way to the hole And if you are, in a or about to get into a shooting motion, you have a couple steps to continue that motion. Okay. That's not how it is in college. So I promise you, I wasn't on the floor. I didn't take the shot. But knowing what I know about basketball, having played it my entire life, I promise you, purposely throwing your body on the floor in that situation, which would be incredibly hard to do while putting your full effort into making that shot, is not something he was thinking about. He was only thinking about making that damn shot. So, yeah, there's just no way. There's no way. And I go back to it. Watch the replay. The defender fully extends his arm, and as soon as the defender fully extends his arm, the SDSU guard goes flying, and he hits the ground. And again, Coach Dutcher, I'm telling you, he's telling his guys, do not rely on getting a whistle here. Do not rely on getting a whistle. Any coach would be saying that because traditionally referees swallow the whistle. I mean, we see it all the time. Rarely do you see a situation like that in the SDSU game, whether it is a foul or not, that a foul is called. So it was very different and special for many reasons, and not because I'm a SDSU homer, but I do praise that ref for calling that foul. And if we were in opposite positions and that was a Creighton player taking that shot in the SDSU situation, I would 100% have the same take that was a foul. So, yeah, that's just how it is. So I don't want to hear anybody saying, or you can make an argument. I would love to hear an argument about why that wasn't a foul, and we can talk about it. But don't say SDSU got bailed out by the refs, because they absolutely did not. Do not take away from that victory. Do not take away from what that team has done in this tournament defensively. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And it just goes to show you, especially in college basketball, how important defense is. Defense is everything, especially in the NCAA tournament. Defense and matchups. Those are the two things. If you talk to people that bet a lot, or are professional gamblers, or they're line setters, they will tell you that it is matchup driven and defensively driven. A lot of the stuff they are looking at when making those lines or making a bet during the NCAA tournament. So, anyways, absolutely bonkers. San Diego State. I mean, they get the Sweet 16 win to move on to the Elite Eight on Coach Fisher's birthday. And yes, Coach Fisher is not the coach of SDSU right now. You're hearing Coach Fisher's name thrown around a lot because Steve Fisher is the one that turned this program around. But give a huge assist to that, or a huge assist on that, to Brian Dutcher, current Aztec coach. Coach Dutcher was with Steve Fisher all through the Michigan years, or for most of the Michigan years. Coach Dutcher came to San Diego with Coach Fisher. And Coach Dutcher, as the Aztecs, as Fisher turned that program around, I can tell you, Dutch had job offers. He could have gone and coached somewhere else. And Coach Fisher, he had no intent on retiring. He had no intent to retire anytime soon, especially the years that I was there. I mean, you knew eventually he would retire, but he was going to keep it going as long as he could. That was his career mission, to turn around that basketball program, because that basketball program was awful, absolutely awful until Fish got there. or I shouldn't say always awful, but they were not a good basketball program. And, not a lot of booster participation. It was and I use this lightly, a football driven school, because San Diego State, even when they had Marshall Faulk, was not a huge powerhouse in football, but football was the thing there. And Fish made it basketball. And Dutch, he stuck around, and I can tell you, um, uh, Coach Dutch and Coach Fish, when they coached together, it was yin and yang. And the reason I say yin and yang is it's not one was bad and one was good. It's they each had their strengths, and they were different coaches. They were completely different coaches. Coach Fish, he would have his fun once in a while. Coach Dutch, oh my gosh, that guy would rib you every 2 seconds. And when I joke with you, probably one of the quickest guys with a one-liner that I can remember. Other than, who else has the good one-liner comebacks? Jerry Reynolds. That's right. Jerry Reynolds is pretty damn quick too. But Dutch and Fish, they just worked so well together. And it's so cool to see. It shows loyalty. It shows trust, because the plan all along was for that program to be handed, and handed is the wrong word. Excuse me. That program to be passed down to Dutch. So think about that. There was no transition time. Those players, it wasn't a new coach coming in. The players that were there were all recruited by the same coaches. And when Dutch took over, it nothing changes. I mean, Fish was still around. Fish is still around. You don't think Dutch and Fish are talking like every day? Come on, seriously. Um, but you don't have to go through. I mean, so many times in college basketball, if a coach is fired, a coach gets a different job, and then you bring in another coach. Well, guess what? Everybody on that roster is not the new coach's recruits. The new coach may have a completely different system that's not conducive to the players that are on that roster. So that's why you see college coaches, it takes 2, 3, 4 years to get a program turned around. And in San Diego State's case, it was close to 15 years to really turn the program around. And now, I mean, I came into the program 2002, 2003. So this is 20 years later. They finally make the Elite Eight in the Final Four. I was tweeting back and forth with Bella Danzy, and she brought up a good point, which I did not think of. The Aztecs, the year of COVID, when there was not the tournament, they were slated to be a number 1 seed before they lost in the Mountain West tournament. There were talks about them being the number 1 seed overall. So that tells you this program has been doing this for a very, very long time. And it really started taking off. And when I say taking off, I mean getting bigger level, or higher star recruits, when Kawhi came to SDSU. And Kawhi, and if you don't know who I'm talking about, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi, quiet kid. I mean, very, very unassuming, extremely loyal to the people he knows. But for Kawhi to do what he did from a school like San Diego State, which by all accounts was on its way up, that just gave San Diego State, like, it really put them in the spotlight when Kawhi becomes an NBA champion multiple times, right? And it changed everything. And I can tell you, the recruiting for SDSU. And I said this before on many shows. I said it on Nape's show. They recruit really athletic kids that play well into their system. Some kids that probably will not play basketball past this level, but some will. I mean, you've had your Xavier Thames. You've had a lot of different guys. The guys that I was with, Brandon Heath, Bottoms, notorious 3-point shooter and scorer from Los Angeles. He's had stints with the Lakers. And I know he's done. I think he's played some overseas stuff too. But Bottoms was on that team. Chris Walton, Luke Walton's son, Luke's brother, or Luke Walton's son, Bill Walton's son. The other son you don't hear about. He was on that team. Marcus Slaughter. There's another one. So Bottoms, Marcus Slaughter, myself, and Sean Weinstein. There's a name for you, Sean Weinstein. We all lived together. For anybody that is familiar with SDSU, we lived at the Villa Alvarado apartments, and those are on-campus apartments. And at the time, that's where a lot of the athletes on scholarship were put to live. And so that was a wild year and a fun year. Definitely a fun year. But our neighbors were Kirk Morrison, NFL Raider guy. He was SDSU's best linebacker they've ever had. But Slaughter, he left school. He declared for the draft, and I believe he hired an agent. He did something, but he went into the draft too early, and the NBA stuff never panned out for him. But he had an amazing overseas career, which I believe is still going on. I don't really follow Marcus too much anymore. But what I'm saying is that there is a lot of good talent that this team has amassed and recruited, and that just rolls over and rolls over to now this point. This changes everything for San Diego State. San Diego State was always kind of that sleeping giant that could never get over the hump and win the big one. And in college basketball, especially with recruiting, it is so important to be able to have those things on your resume. That's the first a lot of times once you get past, obviously schooling and those details. When you're recruiting a player, that's your pitch, man. We've been to the NCAA tournament this many times. We've had this many wins. We play on national TV this much. And Final Four, regardless of what they do against FAU, Final Four. Like, it's still surreal to me. It's not surprising. And oh my gosh, if anybody on here is part of the Jim Rome fam, or part of our Jim Rome fam, our JTP fam, I'm going to get killed if SDSU wins this title. Like, literally killed. I'll share that with you in a moment. But, it's not a surprise that it's not a surprise to those that know that SDSU is here. It was just a matter of the chips falling right. I felt like their first game was going to be really difficult, which it was. They almost lost. And then after that, the rest is history. Alabama. I thought I knew how that game would play out, and I'm not trying to be cocky, but I did. I absolutely did, and I was right to a T. So we could theoretically be sitting here a week or 8 days from now, 9 days from now, if it's a Tuesday show, and it wouldn't be. I would come on that night. We could be sitting here saying SDSU national champions. Holy shit. Like, it doesn't feel real. Yes, sir, Frankie. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I was rooting for Texas for you because I know you got them winning the entire thing, or you had them winning the entire thing. And I thought they were a better team than Miami, but Miami is just, they're on one right now, man. Anybody see that shot that their guard made from behind the hoop? That was pretty crazy. Um, so anyways, yeah, so for those that don't know, we have the one shining clone bracket. It's a lot of the JTPers, and if I you know what, I'll take 30 seconds and explain this. JTP, okay, Jim Rome show. We talk Romy from time to time on this show. The Jim Rome show has a very loyal following. The fans of that show are quote unquote called clones. Jim Rome calls all of the listeners clones. Not going to get into the origin of that. So, anyways, there is a group of Frankie, help me out. I think it's about 300. That yes, it has, Frank. Absolutely, it has 100%, and it's because you've seen when I don't want to say big schools, but when you've seen the one and done schools, match up with the teams that have guys that are fourth, fifth year guys, and like it's that's what makes it exciting. You're seeing great basketball, and it, the fourth and fifth year guys that probably won't play in the league, those teams are winning, and that's what makes it fun. Like I don't know about you guys, but for me, a Final Four is so much more exciting when there's at least one like random team in there. I mean, think about like Butler, right? For years, they made it back 2 times in a row, I think. But when the smaller teams sneak their way in, I forget the name of the school. I think it's Loyola Marymount of Chicago or something with Sister Jane or Sister Mary or whatever her name was. You know, those types of things. When you have teams sneak their way in, not sneak their way in, earn their way in, excuse me. And there's a little bit more parity. And I'm not talking about the Larry. I'm talking about just parity within the tournament and especially the Final Four. That makes it more fun to watch. When I see Duke, Kentucky, Louisville, when I see those schools in there, all North Carolina, all the time. You know what? I'm gonna shoot this at Connor. Connor, sorry, I'm gonna throw a barb your way. UConn. When I see those types of schools in the tournament, it's just not as, or in the Final Four, it's not as exciting to me. I'm okay with the Zags. I'm 100% fine with the Zags being in there, or being in that group, or not being in that group. I consider the Zags the opposite of that group. Yes, they've been there before, but it's a smaller school, and the program is run like a small school program where you have guys that stay the entire tenure of their eligibility. So I'm guessing you're talking about the clones. Yeah. So getting back to the JTP thing. So there's a smaller subsection of that group. There's a Twitter group set up by one of the clones, and it's not a membership or anything like that. It's just kind of it's a group. You have to be invited. There's about 300 people in there, and it's called the show Considers. Sorry guys, too much ice cream earlier. Considers it the JTP. So, anyways, I have a lot of friends in the JTP. Mr. Moda is one of them. Anyways, platform. Is that what you were going for? Perform. Perform. Yeah. Anyways, so a lot of the people that are in that group, some of us have not met before in person. Some of us have, but we all are in constant communication usually, whether it's on not constant like crazy, but like we all know of each other. We talk a lot on Twitter and even on the Jim Rome show, sometimes we're throwing barbs at each other like on the show, but we're cool behind the scenes, right? So, anyways, some of my guys during the football season, because I am a Seahawks fan, by the way. There's a small chunk of Green Bay fans that are in that group. And the Seahawks, to me, were not going anywhere. I thought that even if they made the playoffs, they would lose in the first round. So I thought it would be better for the Seahawks to lose and get a better draft picks. They were kind of in that rebuilding mode, even though they played pretty well all season, to be honest, with Geno Smith. And one of my buddies, the one who made the Rhino and Sacktown logo that I used for the crossover, Wells in 360, he's a huge Seahawks fan. And the day it was the last regular season game of the year, I tweeted out a tweet right before the Green Bay. It was the Green Bay and Detroit that were playing. And if the Seahawks lost and the Packers won, then the Packers would have made the playoffs. And at that time, the Packers were rolling for sure. They were playing well. And so I wished all of the Green Bay fans good luck. And I said I was rooting for the Packers that night, which meant I was rooting against my team. And I just about lost my 12th man membership card with a lot of people. So I tell that story. And by the way, the Seahawks won that day and made the playoffs. So everybody was calling me a fake fan. So, anyways, uh, you're talking about Wellesley Frankster? Yeah. Oh, was he? Awesome. Very good. Very good. That must have been a hoot. All right. Cool, cool, cool. I'm guessing Wellesley's an IPA guy. He's got to be an IPA guy. Frank, you got to be like a Budweiser guy, right? Just straight up original Budweiser. That's my guess. No, when Rome says it, got it. Parfum. Anyways, so the tournament this year, the One Shining Clone contest where we did our brackets, I chose SDSU to win the championship. And then, okay, Coors Original, fair enough, close enough. So I chose SDSU to win the tournament. And like, I don't know, 2 minutes before it was the cutoff where you had to have all your picks in, I logged back in, and I had a national championship game of SDSU in Houston, and I went with SDSU. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, SDSU's bread and butter is defense. Houston's bread and butter is defense. Houston can score better than SDSU. Like I had second thoughts about it, so I went in and I put Houston, and now SDSU is in the Final Four. So I have them in the Final Four. I have them in the national title game, but I chose them to lose in the national title game. Yeah, go ahead. Call me. Go ahead. I know. Even if they don't make it to the national title game, I deserve it. Yeah, I know. I deserve it. I absolutely deserve it. What kind of loyal fan puts their team all the way through to the championship game and chooses them to lose? This guy. What kind of loyal fan roots for his team in the NFL to lose and cheers on his buddy's team. This guy. Yeah. Dumb. I know. Exactly. So I'm feeling like an idiot for that, but I don't care. It's a stupid bracket pool. I care more about the team and what they freaking do for the next 2 games. And yes, I said 2 games. They are the national title. I will repeat myself for those that are just joining. The national title game will be played on Saturday night. I know it's scheduled for Monday night, but it will be played on Saturday night. Whoever comes out of that FAU SDSU team is winning the championship. I know UConn is probably the heavy favorite right now. It will be UConn versus whoever comes out of the SDSU FAU game. 100%. So calling my shot again. So I'm sorry, Connor Danzy. I know that UConn is your team, and even though you deny that you were not named after you, or that you deny that you were not named after UConn, you were named after UConn, Connor. Come on, man. Connor, UConn, absolutely. No, dude, I don't think they are. Are they? No, Dutch was already talking about realignment with the. Oh yeah, they are going. Yeah, you're right. You are right because SC and UCLA is leaving, but Dutch was asked about that before this game, and I think they're going to end up probably in the Big 10 or the Big 12. So I don't think the Pac-12 is going to be long stayed. I don't know how long the contract is that they signed with them. Not sure, but to me, there's not going to be a huge difference between the Mountain West and the Pac-12. And even if it is 12 teams by the time SDSU gets there. So, and the Mountain West is actually a pretty good conference. I thought BYU was already in. No, I'm thinking of Utah. Utah's in the Pac-12. Maybe BYU. That would make sense. That would definitely make sense. Speaking of a strap, I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to go for one. I don't know if I am or I'm not. Not saying I'm worthy of it or even worthy of trying to do it, but I have an opportunity to maybe try to do it. Huh. We'll see what I do. Some of you may know what I'm talking about. Some of you may not. Yeah, I'm thinking about which direction I want to take it. So, since I got Frankie here, dude, I know. Okay, but the basketball team, your football team, does not get overlooked. The football team they changed the football team, signed deals with like ESPN to where like they were playing on like Tuesday evening, like Wednesday night, Monday afternoon for national coverage. So they were still are always playing on national TV. I think now they've kicked to CBS Sports Network a little bit more. So your football team, no, your football team gets run for sure. And I am a huge Boise State fan, by the way, as well. My brother went to Boise State, and I love that city. I love that state. It's awesome. Basketball, yeah. Your basketball program right now reminds me of SDSU's basketball program, like when I was there, or maybe maybe a couple years beyond where we were at when I was there, where it's kind of infrequent NCAA tournament bids. You guys once in a while will challenge the powerhouses in the Mountain West. I know SDSU and Boise State had a pretty decent rivalry in both sports, actually, in football and basketball. For a while, they were playing each other pretty tough. Because my brother and I, we would always put little wagers on it, friendly wagers, not actual money. Um, but yeah, your basketball program, yeah, they get a little bit overlooked. Here's the thing, though: people think about Boise State, they think about two things. They think about the blue field, right? That's number one. Even if you're not playing football, you think about the blue field. When freshmen come in at Boise State, whether you're playing a sport or not, one of the first events they have for the families and the freshmen, like when they're moving into the dorms or the first weekend they move to campus, is something on the blue. Like and that's what they call it in Boise, the blue. Um, yeah, we were there. It's like a family event. You get to go take pictures on the blue and hang out and whatever. So you think of the blue, and then the second thing you think is Boise. That's like in the, where's that? That's the butt crack of Idaho. A lot of people think that. Like 100%. A lot of people think that. That have you think about Idaho and you group it with like Montana, you group it with states like that, Wyoming. Now, Wyoming is I do not like Wyoming. But I have only been to Laramie, Wyoming, because we'd play Wyoming in basketball. They're part of the Mountain West. And we would actually, so the 2-game trip was Colorado State and Wyoming. We would stay in Colorado Springs the entire time. And then we would bus to Laramie the day of the game. And we'd go to the same, I don't even know if you can consider it a hotel. It's like the stepchild of a hotel motel. And you'd have your team meal, and because the game would all most likely always be at 9 o'clock at night, because that was usually an ESPN national TV game, because that's when ESPN had rights to the Mountain West, and they would run a 9 p.m. game on Mondays. But anyways, you roll into Laramie, there's nothing there. It's weird. And then even your cell phone gets like this weird ass notification at the top, like where it would say AT&T or Verizon. It just says something like really weird. It's like jumble. And you're like, okay, I'm like in this weird spot. And so we wouldn't even stay the night there. We would go back to Colorado Springs. So anyways, I digress. I don't like Wyoming. But you think about Boise and you just don't think about how cool it is if you've never been there. Like I had that thought. You think it's just this football school that's in the middle of nowhere. You go to that city, oh my gosh, man, you will fall in love. Like fall in love. I can't speak highly enough about it. And the campus. I mean, the college area is centered around the campus, but downtown is like literally right there. And what they've been doing with the downtown area in Boise, holy crap, man. It is so cool. It is so cool. For people in California, think about so this is a bad comparison because there's not like high rises in downtown San Luis Obispo. But think about like all the cool little like niche restaurants, cool little shops, like super modern. That's what downtown Boise is becoming. But then they've got like all the high rises now too, and they've got a bunch of condo buildings. There's a new hotel there. It's like, what's it called, Frank? It's like the 4.0 or something like that. It's got a weird name. It's either like an alphabet or a number, or it's like the 400 or the 100. I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, it's cool. Yeah, and it's right next to the river. Exactly, the river runs right through there. So New Mexico. So I actually never made the New Mexico trip. I never did. So no, I have not been to the pit. I've been to Colorado Springs. I've been to Colorado State, Wyoming. Who else in conference? I never made the Vegas trip. I never made the Vegas trip. Yeah, no, I never did. Yeah, that's one that I did not make. Gosh, I can name off a laundry list of places. Yeah, I think I'd been everywhere else in. No, actually, I haven't. No, I didn't. I didn't do Air Force or so. Air Force is not part of the Colorado swing. You'd think it would be. Um, I never did Air Force. I never did. Who is it with Air Force? It's Air Force and BYU. Those are the two games. Air Force, BYU. Never made that one either. So I did a lot more of the preseason schedule. Not preseason. When I say preseason, like out of conference. Don't start me, man. Yeah, filthy Fresno. Yes. Yep. The Maui Invitational tournament. You ever heard of the Maui Invitational? It's pretty cool. It kicks off right before Thanksgiving. Then you spend Thanksgiving in Maui in the gym. It's like a high school gym. It's so cool. But yeah, no, I did a lot of my road games were out of conference. So like St. Mary's, LMU, USD. The cool one was Texas Tech. Now that was a trip. Lubbock, Texas, man. Not a ton there. And when you roll into campus in Lubbock, it's really funny because the football stadium is like, well, I shouldn't say campus where we rolled into because the basketball stadium was right there. Or the basketball arena was next to the football stadium or around that. But the football stadium, like the top of the lights are almost at ground level. And you're like, what the hell's going on? It's one of those stadiums where it goes like down into the ground. So that's kind of cool. I guess Dodgers Stadium is kind of like that. I'm not a Dodgers fan, so I could care less about going to Chavez Ravine. But Dodger Gym likes to go to Chavez Ravine. We got some Fresno State stuff going. We'll get into that in a second. But yeah, Lubbock was cool because that's when Bobby Knight was the head coach of Texas Tech. And holy crap, man. First off, their arena was as big as at the time Arco Arena, which is where the Kings used to play. So it was a trip rolling into a college place that had an NBA arena, basically. And then the other thing that was really, really cool about it was they had this weight room that was like in the tunnels, basically, between the home locker room and visitors locker room. And for those that don't know it, the visitors locker room, wherever you go, garbage. So, but Bobby Knight, how intense he was, the fact that they knew the fans, they knew everybody's name that was on the SDSU bench, whether you were a team manager, player, coach, they knew everything about you and they just heckled the hell out of you. And I think that was right when that whole night school thing on ESPN was going on. But anyways, no chairs thrown though. That's for sure. I don't know. Nobody's chatting. chat. Go to my Twitter page at Ryan_in_Sacktown. Hit the link and you can come on the show with me. Like, you'll be on screen. We'll be talking. So that's all you got to do. Follow the YouTube rules, though. Please do not get me kicked off. Please, 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 please. Yes, Fresno is dirty. You know my stance, Frank. You know my stance on Fresno, Bakersfield, and Riverside. I I don't need to give a state of the union on those three cities. So, anyways. Oh, my bad. That's right. Yeah, well, at least we got an answer out of another one that was watching. Yeah, that's true. Haunted Horse. He's a big deal, guys. He's got his own T-shirt line, by the way. If you didn't know, he's got his own website, HollywoodRejects.com. He has like 3 different shows. So yeah, he's a big deal. His agent, I don't remember the name of his agent, but you need to reach out to them for booking. If you would like to get Haunted Horse. I mean, the fact that we even got him to pen something out here. I mean, is that actually you, Horse, or is that your intern? Or is it your intern or your social media manager? Because I don't think that's you. I know how you usually write, and usually you'll put like a dash HH behind it. So I know it's from you. Oh, it's the intern. Okay, good, good, good. So she didn't sue you for that stuff? I just wanted to make sure that all got cleared up. Okay, got it. Oh, social media guy's golfing. Okay. Well, he doesn't have very much light left. It's 6:03. So hopefully, he's getting his round in. I can't imagine the temperature's real great where you're at, Haunted Horse. But anyways, really nice to have Haunted Horse's intern here. Thank you, man. Man or ma'am. I don't know who that is. Indoor miniature golfing. That makes sense. I did that yesterday. Is there a bigger waste of money? Really? Honestly, is there, if you are an adult, is there a bigger waste of money than indoor mini golf? If you have a kid, fine. Okay. But an adult or adults going to do it? No. And even further, to go hand in hand with the miniature golf, what about the damn arcades, man? These arcades, like it cracks me the hell off. No, dude, of course I'm gonna keep that up there. I don't want I want your boss to see that, man. If Haunted Horse actually sees that, you're gonna be fired. Um. Anyways, the arcades. You spend all this money for these tokens, right? And you get tickets, but then you go to cash in these tickets. You spend like $60 on games. You've got like 400 tickets. You can choose like 2 9-month-old now and laters, a finger pincher, and maybe, I'm going to do you a solid this time, and I'm going to give you a blow pop. Yeah. So that's what $60 gets you. Really? Like, I just, but you always get sucked into it. That's the thing. Like, if you have a kid, you get sucked into it. Some adults get sucked into it, but uh, I get you get to play the games, but then it turns into one of those things where you're not playing the games you want to play. You're playing the games that give you the most tickets. But why are you trying to rack up the tickets when you know it costs 40,000 tickets, which would cost you in reality probably like $1,000 to get a stuffed animal? Like, I don't explain that one to me. Never gotten it. Just never gotten it. I said blow pop. I did not say that. Did I say that? Seriously. Haunted Horse's intern. Did I really say that? Did I say that? Oh gosh. I said blow pop, right? Now I am worried. A troll pencil, yeah, exactly. Did it, I didn't. No, I didn't. I was going. Well, all right. Well, we will have to go to instant replay on that. I do apologize if that slipped out of my mouth. Anything may come out of my mouth on a day that SDSU makes the Final Four. So, anyways, y'all, I'm gonna probably wrap this thing up here in a second. Get back to a lovely Sunday evening. Oh, you and oh, nice. Okay, nice. Stuffing your face with pizza. What kind of pizza you going with, Frankie? It's funny you brought up the thing I may have slipped on because blow pop may be part of a bigger take that I want to do in a different forum that may or may not uh, result in some gold. We will see. Later, Frankie. Thanks for showing up, my man. Horse, thanks for showing up, bud. Much love. Yeah, so Aztecs Final Four, we're gonna have full coverage of that. I will let you know if we are headed to Houston. There is a very, very good chance. Nothing wrong with Little Papa John's. Nothing wrong, buddy. What's this say? Center with Tootsie Roll or bubble gum. Center with Tootsie Roll or bubble gum. Bubble gum all day. Actually, no, I take that back. Tootsie Roll. Because the bubble gum's garbage. Bubble gum like disintegrates in like 30 seconds. Yeah, Tootsie Roll. I'm with you. 100%. But yeah, I'll let everybody know. We may be headed to Houston, be doing the Kings post-game shows from Houston for a week or so, or for about 4 or 5 days, while the Aztecs are there. Yeah, it's terrible, man. The bubble gum, the only worst bubble gum I can think of is the one that used to come with baseball cards. That was awful bubblegum. I mean, garbage bubblegum. If it turns the cards a different color, you probably shouldn't be chewing that gum. Let's just put it that way. You know what? Here's a take. You know what I miss and I have not seen for years? You remember the caramel apple pops? Those were solid. Those things got me through middle school, along with French fries and ranch, and pepperoni pizza and nacho cheese. Those three things were a staple. Big League Chew, no, it was too chalky, man. It would give you like a chalk, like in your mouth. Not a fan. Do you really? Yeah, I gotta go looking for those. Those are solid. Those are solid as hell. So, anyways, all right. It's been a fun night, and remember that was a foul. 100% a foul. Go back, listen to the take if you missed it. Dude's arm fully extended, full shove. Was not an acting job. Had to have been called. You would be hearing the exact same thing if that was not called, or the exact opposite if it was not called. Had he not extended that arm, then now we have a debate. But he extended that arm and shoved the dude in the back. So we have something in basketball. We always call it, and you might hear it on broadcasts from time to time, the basketball gods. This is a real thing. I'm not making this up. The basketball gods. So if you have if you're playing a pickup game, right? And it's a disputed call, because in a pickup game, you don't have referees. You're making your own calls, okay? But if there's a dispute about something and clearly the other side is wrong, but yet they get the ball, then we always say, well, basketball gods will make up for it. And 9 times out of 10, it does. Like whether there's a turnover or, like something happens. Or at the same time, if a foul's called that shouldn't have been a foul, the basketball gods will make the guy miss the 2 free throws. And so it's a real thing. Trust me. Look it up. Google it. But think about this. SDSU made 1 of 2 free throws. So I think the basketball gods were saying, we see your argument, but no, it was a foul. So that's how I will end the show. SDSU into the Final Four. First time in school history. Montezuma Mesa going crazy. Horse, I know. Horse, by the way, join Haunted Horse on Fridays for the DJ Haunted Horse show. He is also the producer of the Wood Scopes. So make sure you join him in 12 Wood when they do that show. It's once a month, usually the first Friday of every month. But in between Kings halftime, was it pregame and halftime or halftime and postgame? In between by the way, don't forget the water hole. Horse and I do a show together. It's not his intern. It is not his agent. It is not his social media manager. It is the man, live and in the flesh. That is on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Go to HollywoodRejects.com, streams on YouTube and streams on Twitch. Catch old episodes too. HollywoodRejects.com. So, anyways, what was I saying? Because it was something really important. Oh, yeah, that's right. Horse, DJ show. In between the 2 shows that I was doing with Grant Napier, this dude hops on his show and starts trying to do the Rome. Talk to me, Rancho Penasquitos, Del Mar, Chula Vista, National City. I can't do it because my throat's all jacked up. But what I'm doing is horse. What I'm trying to say is horse jacked up like all the cities. Forget what he said. It was like something. He flipped 2 around. Pacific is supposed to be Pacific Palisades, and he flipped it with something else. So it was pretty funny. So, anyways, go check that out. There's probably a replay of it, audio replay. That's always fun too, because it really is like listening to a radio show, the DJ Haunted Horse Show. So, all right, y'all. SDSU in the Final Four. Happy Aztec fan here. And maybe Houston bound. So looking forward. Yeah. Rancho Palisades. Exactly. Supposed to be Rancho Penasquitos or Peanut. Oh my God, dude. I am so glad Bacon is not watching this right now. We've had so many Bacon bits. Penasquitos, I believe, is what it is. All right, guys. SDSU to the Final Four. That's why I'm here on a weekend. Thank you for joining me. Have a great rest of it. I know, Horse. You know what? I probably need to get a dump button on myself. Anyways, have a great rest of your Sunday. We will see you back tomorrow. Quick turnaround. Back to back. See you tomorrow afternoon. Rhino and Sacktown out.